feel like I'm talking to my whole entire family. I love that all you people showed up. And thanks, Noah. What do you? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a PowerPoint that my daughter Esty helped me compile, and I've got so much information, but most importantly is getting what your questions are answered. And so please interrupt me, interrupt Sally, send a chat, because there's tons of information, and I want to make sure that this is interactive. So everyone read it out, thumbs up. Yep, great. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take a quiz, because we want to know what your financial literacy is. And so the quiz is on, if you push poll at the bottom of your screen, does everyone have poll?
I think you push it, Kim.
I push it. Oh.
I think you push it and it'll come up and then people can see it.
Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see it and everyone take the test?
Oh, attendees are now viewing questions. Okay.
You guys answering? I can't tell. Okay. All right, I'm going to close in 30 seconds. Was that challenging? Was it easy? Curious.
I definitely guessed on like half of them.
Really? If it was challenging, go like this. Ah, okay. If it was easy, go like that. Ah, okay, great. Jane, easy. Okay, good. I don't know who iPhone is. They don't have a name. Do we know who iPhone is? Say your name. All right, I'm going to end the polling. Okay, ready? We're going to go over these. Question number 1. When I take a deduction of 0 on my W-4 form, do I have more or less taken out for taxes? Does everyone know what a W-4 form is? That is what your employer is going to give you, so they determine, you can determine how much taxes you want withheld, okay? So, actually have more taken out if it's a 0, believe it or not. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually more. Just so you know, take note. Question number 2, what is not a secret to financial freedom? Earning, spending, saving, investing, borrowing, lending money family members. Lending money to family members, not such a good idea. Not such a good idea. Unless you have a contract or unless you have a very, very exceptionally wonderful relationship with your family. While you're young, and especially not to friends, not such a good idea. Got it? If you want to argue with me, you're welcome to, by the way. Number 3, what is a 401k plan? Most of you got it right. It's a tax advantage retirement account offered by many employers. The tax advantage means that the money that's in that account is invested and it grows tax-free. So you don't have to pay taxes on the growth. Other investments, you have to pay taxes on the growth. So most of you know that. Great. Number 4, which of these actions might negatively affect your retirement savings? Everyone got this right. Taking out money from your retirement to pay a loan. When you take money out of your retirement, not a loan, if you take money out, you're charged about 40% taxes. Just remember that. You don't ever want to take money out, because the whole point of a retirement plan is you don't touch it. So when you're touching it, the government's going to tax you up the wazoo. So don't ever take money out. You can take a loan out sometimes, but don't ever, ever, ever take a loan out. Don't ever take money out, just as if you need cash. Everyone nod your head that you got that. You're never going to do that. Okay. How much of an emergency fund is recommended? Everyone got this right, 3 to 6 months. So what that means is, once you know your expenses, if your expenses are $2,000 a month, then your emergency fund you want to be $6,000 a month, right? Or more. What is compound interest? So this is a trick question. The answer is a trick answer because the compound interest, as most of you got right, is when you need to pay interest on interest. So it says when you need to pay interest on interest. But guess what? It's when you owe interest on interest also. So compound interest works both ways. So when you have an investment in a bank account, let's say, and the interest rate is 10% and you have $100 in there, the first year you make $10, right? The second year, it's 10% on $110. So you get interest upon the interest. But if you have a credit card and it's the opposite, it's compounding the amount of interest you have. So it's a roller coaster of more interest that's growing. Everybody got it? Make sense? Okay. Disability insurance is helpful because, excellent. Oops. It's a good way to cover monthly expenses of.
Oh. Oh.
Kim, you accidentally muted yourself.
I'm sorry, that was me. I was trying to, sorry,
Muted?
sorry. There was background noise and that was me. I apologize for that. I was trying to take away the background noise and I accidentally muted you, Kim. Sorry about that.
Okay. Am I muted now?
You are unmuted now,
Okay.
sorry.
So disability insurance, some of you might be offered it at your company. Always ask if they have it because oftentimes people just have an accident, you can't work. And if you can't work, you don't have a paycheck. So to guarantee you have a paycheck, disability insurance replaces some of your income so you can pay your bills. Okay, great. Number 8, if I invested $300 a month at age 25 and was able to get 8% growth on my investments, how much money would I have saved by the time I reach 65? The answer is $1 million or more. 1 million. Question 9. If I invested $300 a month at 45, 20 years later, and was able to get 8% growth on my investment, around how much would I have saved by the time I was 65? Correct, $166,141. So friends, what you have going for you is the most important thing is you have time. So even though it seems weird and retirement seems far away, even if you don't want to save for retirement, you can save money now with the brilliant concept of compound interest and grow that money over a long period of time, because the longer you wait, the less it has to grow. So that is one of the most beautiful, beautiful mathematical theories is compound interest, is to grow your money when you're young. So very important thing to take away for today. True or false, borrowing money is always bad. You guys all got it right. False, it is not always bad. Sometimes there are cases when it is not a bad idea, because oftentimes if you want to buy a house or a car, you may not have $400,000 of cash on hand and you may need to borrow, and it's some place to live. And in some cities, owning a home and paying mortgage is less than paying rent. So sometimes borrowing is good. So glad that you took the test. Thank you. Was that helpful? Did you learn something so far already? Okay, let's go to the PowerPoint. May I share screen? Sally?
I'm sorry, can you do what?
Yeah. Okay, does everyone see the screen? Okay, guys, first page. Oops. The first thing when you're talking about money, wherever you are, is to set goals, right? And here is the 5 reasons to set goals. Goals allow for the creation of realistic plan, right? So for instance, if you want to climb Mount Shasta on September 30th, but you're currently out of shape, and you know you have to incorporate a backpack on your back, you start a weekly fitness routine so you're ready to hike up Mount Shasta, right? So it's the same thing with money. Let's say you want to buy a house in 3 years, you want to live close to your work, and you need $80,000 for a down payment. You're very specific on a goal. You know when you want to do it. and you have the time frame of when you want to do it. So goals allow you to track progress. Goals force you to prioritize because sometimes you may not have money to do everything. So it forces you to choose what you want to do. Goals create accountability, and goals give you a reason to celebrate. So now, what I'd like you all to do is set some immediate short-term and long-term goals. An example of a short-term or immediate goal, would be something you want to do right now. So I give an example. I want to buy a MacBook Pro in January, and I think I'm going to buy a refurbished one because they're less expensive. The reason I want to improve my filmmaking skills, the cost is $1,500, and the priority is, it's a really big priority. Short-term would be, I want to buy a house in 5 years. I want to raise a family and have a yard. The cost of the down payment is $80,000, etc. And then a long-term goal is retire when I'm 65. If you go to the chat area, there will be a link, and I'd like to have every one of you pick one goal for each of those categories, and then we'll report back. I'll give you all about 3 minutes to do that. Can everyone find the link?
Wait, where is this link?
It, I believe, is in the chat area, correct, Sally?
Yep, it says clarify your goals worksheet. Did everyone see that at the very top?
Yeah, I just have the comment that's from like Dane's iPhone. That's the thing at the top, and then everything is
Okay.
comments below that.
Okay, let's see if I can do it again. 1 second. Okay, hold on 1 second, you guys. Why it's not allowing me to do this? 1 second.
I just reposted the link in there, so it should be the newest chat coming through.
Thank you.
Kim, it's having us request edit access on the document in order to work on it.
What do I do, Esty? All right.
My bad. I'll try and see what's up.
Does everyone, I always send this out. Does everyone maybe have a piece of paper and a pencil? You can do it quickly. Why don't you just get a piece of paper and a pencil the whole way? Or your phone, perfect. So what I'd like you to do is put just the goal and the cost. We'll start with that. And then afterward, you can fill out the link. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, I'm going to actually call on you guys. Jordan, give an example of a goal you had.
For my short-term goal for the next 1 to 5 years is I want to finish my bachelor's and get my master's in social work. So I've been saving up to do that and just kind of paying term by term.
Good. Do you know what the cost of it is?
A lot. I was guessing, but for the rest of my bachelor's, probably around 10,000. And then depending on the social, it just depends on the social work program.
Okay, so you got some homework to do to find that out.
Yeah.
Dane, how about you? You have a goal you want to tell us about? Dane doesn't. How about you, Sarah?
My goal is to pay off my car in a year or less, and that is $10,000.
Nice, very good. Gina, how about you?
My immediate goal is that I would like to take a trip somewhere abroad. And I'm guessing that will cost around $2,500.
When do you want to go?
In 2021,
Post-corona.
hopefully. Yeah, honestly, probably more like $3,000. And as soon as we can.
Okay. So if you have, let's say you had 24 months to save, right? And it cost $2,400, you would save $100 a month. Everybody got that? So this is one of the really strong benefits of really laying out the goals, why you're doing it, and the cost, and then you can figure out how to save for it. It's a great example. So I recommend whenever you are planning your budget or whatever you are planning in terms of long-term, write these down. They're great. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to go fast because we got a lot to cover. So here are the top 5 things we're going to cover today. If we don't get to everything, I'm going to give you a copy of the screen, the slides. So all the 5 things you need to know are: you need to learn how to earn, save, protect, spend, and borrow. If you want a mnemonic device, it is expensive skis protect slippery bindings. Expensive skis protect slippery bindings. Earn, save, protect, spend, and borrow. Let's talk about earn. Meet Kelly KAPOOR and Jim HALPERT. Everybody know who these guys are? Okay. They're in a competition to see who is better at managing money. Earn. So earning means understanding your pay, your benefits, and making the most of what you earn. How many of you, please, if you can put if I'm not seeing your face, if you can put a thumbs up, how many of you ever received a paycheck and looked at it? Show me hands in the hand section. Excellent. So some of the things on the paycheck, which I'm going to show you in a second, that you want to be conscious of are the gross pay. So when you're negotiating your salary, the gross is your salary. So that's $50,000 is what Jim and Kelly get, right? But then the most important number is actually your net pay. The net pay is the number after all your taxes are paid. One way to remember the net is think about a net and you're going fishing and the net drains all the stuff except your dinner. So net is like the money you get to pay for your dinner. So net is what's left over. There's also a whole bunch of deductions on your paycheck, which you probably are aware of. What is taken out of the gross? Taxes, Social Security, insurance, retirement contributions, and other benefits. All this stuff is taken out of your salary. I remember Sam, my eldest son, getting his first paycheck going, oh my gosh, this is so low compared to what I thought, because you would think you get $50,000, you divide it by 12, and that's what your income is, right? Wrong. And most of people that are on this call probably know that. Let's look really quickly at the earnings statement. So this is what a pay stub is. I'm going to have a resource guide on the end if people don't know. So as you see, the income, number 1, gross wages, that's where that will show. And then the deductions are all these deductions. These are all taxes. The FICA is Social Security and Medicare. So you're helping pay my Social Security and Sally's Social Security and Jan's Social Security. You guys are so sweet. Out of your income, you're helping pay for my Social Security, which is really kind. Luckily, I did the same thing for my parents. We're also paying other taxes, like paying federal taxes to pay the IRS so they can do your taxes, city taxes, and Social Security taxes, etc. And then down here are those deductions that are taken out of your paycheck, the 401k, medical, dental, all that stuff. And then the net pay at the bottom, as you can see, number 13 is all that's left over. And it's usually a lot less, but that's the number that you need to really concentrate on. Save and invest, number 2. Everything I've highlighted in red are things that I want you to remember or take notes on. So Kelly and Jim are saving for retirement, and they're saving for stuff that they care about, right? Kelly cares about shopping, streaming services, and going out. And her saving and retirement plan is she's using her credit card and saving for retirement later. Anybody else use this plan? Raise your hand or use a hand or thumbs up if you use Kelly's plan. No one's smart. No one's admitting it. Oh, Estee's admitting that she uses Kelly's plan. Thank you. Obviously, I'm being extreme on these, but oh, Dane raised your hand too. Thank you for your honesty. I'm making them extreme. Kelly extremely not frugal. Jim extremely frugal. So one of the things that Jim did was he looked at his saving goals and he actually broke them down and he said, okay, I want to buy a house with Pam. It's going to cost $400,000 in 5 years. And I want to retire at 65 and I want to make sure I have enough money to prank Dwight. That is really important. So saving for retirement, he figured out he needs XYZ money and he saved XYZ. And what he did was he figured out if he saved $10,000 and he has $70,000 left and he wants to have that house in 50 months, he divided $70,000 by 60 months to determine how much money he needed to set aside every month. So by the time 5 years was there, he'd have enough money for the down payment. And that's the amount, $583. Luckily, he's going to save with Pam, so he and Pam are saving that much. Now, that's just one kind of concept of saving. What's in red is very important for you younger people who have time for compound interest to save in your retirement plan. So, Dunder Mifflin matches up to 5% of Jim's salary for his 401k. Anybody want to yell out what that money means? Does that money cost Jim something? Is it free or does Jim have to pay them? Anybody know? What is Dunder Mifflin doing for Jim? They're giving him what?
Can I guess?
Yes.
Don't they put like the money in his retirement fund from his paycheck?
No.
Or am I wrong? Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, bye.
Put the money in his paycheck from their money. Companies will match 5% of your income. They will put in from their profit into your retirement plan, otherwise known as free money. So if some company has a match, what that means is you need to put in 5% and then they'll put in 5%. So you're putting 5% of your salary in the retirement plan and then they will do the same thing. It's free money. So if a company has a retirement plan, you want to take advantage of that. With the math for Jim, since Jim wants to retire at 65, he's going to put in 10%. So his total savings from his salary, 10% of his total savings will go into his retirement. So the 5% plus the 10%, when he retires, he'll have $1,521,848 in his retirement if he continues just to put that 10% in his retirement. While your salaries are lower, 10% may seem like a lot. That is the ideal. 10 to 15% is the ideal. While your salaries are lower, you may not have the budget to put that much. At least put the match in because that, as I said, is free money. And every time you get a raise, if you can put a little bit more in, that is the ideal. So when a company says it matches 5%, what are they doing? They are, anybody? Giving you what?
Free money.
Yay! Free money. Okay, here's some saving and investment resources. a way to save is to automate all the things that you can do with your money. If you can automate as much as possible, that is the key, because then you don't have to worry about saving. So with your 401k, it automatically, part of your salary automatically goes into your savings. It's automatic. You don't even think about it. There's other investment organizations where you can automatically invest money and you can automatically save. So you're not even worrying about it. You don't even think about it. And as much as you can automate, the better. Here's Jim's retirement plan by the numbers. I want to show you this. Here it goes with that compound interest. So Jim contributes 10% of his salary, to his 401k per month. Now, the problem with putting money in your 401k, right, is your monthly paycheck is going to be lower, right? Because you're putting money that's not coming to you into your retirement. So for a $50,000 salary, this is the monthly income after taxes for Kelly, and then at 2,949, and then Jim's is about 2,521. So it's less, obviously. His company matches 5%. Every year he gets a raise, he contributes a little bit more, and then he has 35 years to save. And if the money's invested at 7%, as I said, he'll have over that 1.6 million in his account. That's a lot of information. Anyone have any questions? Does that make sense? Yeah? Sally, any big questions? Okay. Here's Kelly's retirement. Here's her take home. Here's her retirement. This is an advantage of starting early. It's another graph with compound interest. So here's you guys starting at 25, saving $300 a month. You'll have $1 million by the time you're 65. It's just math. If you start at 35, if you save $300 a month, you'll have about $420,000 saved for retirement. If you start at 45 and you don't save before that, you'll have about less than 100,000. And if you save at 55, you're probably going to work for the rest of your life.
Best slide of the whole presentation.
Okay, protect. Number 3. We already talked about this. Have 3 months of an emergency savings account. And so that would mean you have a special savings account for stuff like you need new tires, or you need a new computer, or you lose your job, or all sorts of things. And a lot of people say, well, if I have $9,000, why should I put in a savings account when I can get that invested and make a lot more money? And an emergency fund is a way to replace using that credit card. You already have the money there. It's right there. If you use a credit card, it's going to start accruing interest and you're going to have to pay it back. So short-term wise, just use the savings account for that emergency fund and always have it. It's a great habit always to have. Okay. So that is a very important guarantee that I want you all to put in your head. 3 months of emergency savings and also insurance. So as I noted, Kelly uses her credit card if she has an emergency. She recently spent $1,000 for tires on her BMW. Jim put aside $200 a month in his emergency savings. He has a goal to have $9,000 in his account by the end of 2022. He already has some saved. Go, Jim. Here's Jim's healthcare plan. Many of you will have healthcare coverage in your work. Some of you may not, but if you do, take advantage of using your HR director to find out which option you have, because there's lots of different options. There's not just one kind of option. Make sure you know who your doctors are to make sure they're all in what's called network, so you don't have to pay any more out of your pocket to pay for healthcare. And then if your company is paying for your healthcare, I know you're young and you may not think about this, but take advantage of an annual physical and dental and vision. Just go once a year. It's free. Take advantage of it and get it done with and do some protective health care. And it's a wonderful way to take care of yourself and make sure you stay healthy. And then Jim, of course, walks with Pam every night after work. So keep healthy too. That's the best healthcare plan you can have, is have a great way to stay healthy yourself. Here's Kelly's health plan. She asks a coworker what she's doing for her health plan, and she does the same. So a lot of people do that at work. I've been guilty. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do for your healthcare plan? That's not necessarily the best healthcare plan for you. It's a very natural thing to do, but make sure you take advantage of your healthcare person, your HR person, and ask him or her what the best program is for you. Any questions on healthcare? Spend. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, create a plan. We just talked about that to ensure you have enough money for what you want and what you need. All right, here we got 2 budgets. Okay, so we've got Kelly's monthly income, net, and we've got Jim's monthly income. Jim has that a little bit less, but look, he's augmenting his income. Down below, if you can see it, he is also making additional income by walking dogs for Rover and driving for Postmates. So that's just in case he needs extra money and he knows his expenses are a little bit more. So his paycheck actually doesn't cover all his expenses, so he gets another job. So let's look. Anybody see any differences that you want to share with me that are obvious that they do differently? Anybody notice any differences? Pippin, do you notice anything different that Kelly does than Jim? Pippin's gone. Noah, what do you notice that's different that Kelly does than Jim?
She spends more than she makes.
Ooh, very good.
Just paying off like loans a little bit differently.
Yep. Anything else? If you notice, Jim is also saving and he is still staying within his budget, which is amazing. Kelly is not saving at all. Jim knows what he's spending every month. Kelly kind of does, but she really doesn't. And when you don't know, especially with your first couple salaries, what you're saving, what your expenses are every month, you're generally going to be using a credit card to pay for things. And once you get on the credit card cycle, it's very difficult to get off. In fact, I call a credit card paying it to the man because credit cards are specifically set up to screw you. They're specifically set up that you don't pay the bill, you don't pay all the bill, and they're going to charge you interest and continue to charge you interest and continue. And they're making a lot of money off of you. So know that when you use a credit card and you don't pay it off, you're paying it to the man. So Kelly is spending more in rent. So rent generally at your age is the biggest expense. So one way you can save on your budget, if possible, is to share rent with somebody. That's a really big thing to do. So if you possibly can share rent, because it's such a big part of your budget, it's a great way of saving on your budget. Number 2, with debt, credit card debt obviously adds up and it's a lot. So another reason why not to have credit card debt. And 3, college loan. So a lot of you might have some college loans and those are a killer. And so I've got a screen at the end to help you figure out a way to pay off college loan. Kelly went to private school, Jim went to a state school. That's why her loans are higher. And as you can see, they're a lot higher. And then they both have a car payment. They both have a car payment. As you heard, Kelly has a BMW and Jim has a little bit of a cheaper card. And then discretionary expenses are all those things that you don't necessarily owe that change all the time, like groceries or going out or going to a concert. And so Kelly puts the stuff that is discretionary, like food, on a credit card. A lot of you say, gosh, I want to use a credit card because I get miles. Yes, but if you don't have control over how much you're spending, that adds up on your credit card and it's harder to pay it off. So there's other ways to use your credit card to get miles. I've put CC and A on these line items. Does anyone have a guess on what CC and A mean? Ruthie, do you have a guess?
Does the CC mean credit card?
Yep.
Or automatic, and the A is automatic?
Correct, correct. So as I said earlier, the more you can automate your spending, the better. So many places that you rent, you can automate with the tenant. You can ask them how to automate it. So again, it's just coming right out of your bank account. The debt's coming right out of your bank account. College loans can come right out of your bank account. Car payments can come right out of your bank account. Emergency savings. You can set up your bank account to put every month a certain dollar amount in savings so you don't forget to do it. A house down payment could be a savings account. You can put all those things in an automated account so you know that you're paying yourself first, which is another key to spending. Notice how I didn't call it budget. You're spending money on yourself. You're spending money on your rent. You're spending money on your debt. You're spending money on your emergency savings. All these things are for you. You're not budgeting it, you're spending. The only thing that you're not automating is that discretionary spending, and that's where it gets a little bit difficult. So I would like you all to automate the way you spend with software. This is my favorite budgeting or spending app. It's called YouNeedABudget.com, YNAB. It's the best one. And what they do is they force you to set up your budget, and it will literally track you if you spend more or less in that category. It will automate you. So let's say you are going to the grocery store and you budgeted $200 for groceries. And this is an example I always use. You've budgeted $200 for groceries, and you have in your grocery cart $230, or you're at Costco and you have your grocery cart $230. It will beep before you go to the checking, and it'll tell you, Gina, you only have $200 in your grocery account, and you put $30 back because you made a commitment to yourself that you're going to spend money on all those other things that you've promised yourself, like traveling, like paying off your college tuition, like paying off that MacBook Pro that you want. So it keeps you in order. You don't have to budget. You don't have to think about it. Your phone will tell you what to do. I've got some more resources to help you control your finances. The one bottom thing is we are living in the most amazing time where you can virtually buy everything you want used or on sale. You literally do not have to buy anything new, and you can have great deals on buying stuff used. So I've got a couple links to the best places to buy used things while you are having a starting salary. I recommend, especially furniture, some cars. Some people may feel good about buying cars. As I said, you can buy software used, you can buy a laptop used. There's all sorts of things that rather than buy new, you can buy virtually new things, and there's great links to do that. Anybody have other ways to buy things gently used or links that you want to share with the group?
Facebook Marketplace is a really good one.
Yep.
I don't know how comfortable people feel with Craigslist, but that's also a good one.
Yep. Anybody else? Any good clothes links? Your clothes websites?
Poshmark.
Poshmark, yeah.
Anybody else? Any good
Okay, I know this one's old school, but eBay is awesome, but it can be dangerous because you can get in bidding wars, so just like be careful on there.
Thank you guys. Okay. Build an emergency fund, we talked about that. Borrow, last and most important. Borrowing allows you to make essential purchases and build credit. It's important to start building credit when you're in your 20s. That doesn't necessarily mean use your credit card for whatever. It means build credit. And the reason is, there's 5 reasons. It enables you, when you build credit, what you're telling credit companies is you're really good at paying your bills in a timely manner. That's basically what that means. And so what happens if you have a good credit score? 1, it affects your interest rates for buying a house. So for those of you who might want to buy a house, that could mean the difference between having a 4% interest rate on your mortgage and a 5% interest rate on your mortgage. That's a huge difference in terms of your monthly payment. Same thing with an auto loan. Raise your hand or give me a 5 if you are You have a loan on a car that you have. Anybody paying a car payment? Nobody? Ooh, you guys are lucky. Car payments, you need to have a good interest. iPhone raised their hand. Thank you, iPhone. You need to have good credit when you're getting an auto loan for the same reason, because your car payments can be lower if your credit's lower. I mean, if your credit score is great. Living a credit card checks for employment. Employers are beginning to check your credit. They can't check your credit score. That's illegal, but they can check some of your credit ratings. Living expenses. Some utility companies check your credit score to make sure that you're going to pay your utilities online. And for those of you who I imagine will want to start a business someday, you most likely will want to borrow some money to start the business. Many startups need money to start a business, so you'll need good credit. So Kelly's credit score was 620 because she forgot to pay her Nordstrom's bill for 4 months. Only 4 months, and her credit score tanked. Jim's credit score is 750 because he pays his student loan and car payments on time, and he's young. So the more and longer and older you are, the credit score goes up. Anybody have any questions? There's a lot I've said on the credit scores. Anybody have any initial questions on credit?
So I don't have a credit card. And I think I think I need to get one, but my biggest like stumbling block has been trying to figure out which one's going to be the best for me. And I've never had a credit card, so I don't have any credit. And so obviously that eliminates me from a lot of the cards that are out there, which is okay. But I just like, I don't know if there's like good recommendations or if there's like a good place where I can find some good advice beyond just like Google.
Anybody have any recommendations on the call, on the Zoom?
NerdWallet is really good. It's a good website and resource for helping you narrow down what it is you're looking for, what kind of details are going into it on your side versus what you want to get out of the card, so that they can help narrow down the right cards for you and which ones you need a co-signer on and which ones you don't.
It's a really great question. Do you have a job? Are you working?
So I'm finished. I just took a year off. I'm going back to school this fall. So I don't have a job for another week.
For you, if you don't have a job, it will be more challenging to get credit. You can co-sign with a parent, and that will be a way to get credit cards. Now, I said earlier not to use a credit card, right, for just regular expenses.
Right.
What you do, you want to pick one thing that you always spend money on every month to use your credit card for. A great thing would be
Spotify.
What?
Spotify. That's what I do for mine.
Spotify or Netflix, or if you get your nails done once a week, or one thing that you do once a month, every month, that's the same amount that you can just pay it every single month. You put in your calendar to pay whatever it is every single month, and it's just a habit, so you know it's paid every single month. That is one habit you can get into where you're paying it every single month. Okay?
Kim, I also might recommend for my daughters, I took them over to Bank of America, and they were wonderful sitting down and introducing them to the basic credit card where you had a $500 limit, and they were able to then, as they became more, as time went on and Bank of America was assured they were paying into it, then they were able to increase the amount on the credit card. But I found that Bank of America locally here, going in and talking with the counselor first and telling them your needs was really a great way for the girls without my having to tell them, a professional giving them the ins and outs and helping them make the right choice was really valuable. And they're prepared to do that.
Excellent, Ruthie. I would say every bank that will do that, if you have a relationship, every credit union will do that because they want you to get a credit card because I guess I said, you're paying it to the man. And so they make money off of you not paying your credit card, but they want you to have it. At the same time, they're getting savvy, like Ruthie was saying, and they're going to give you the rules because they legally have to. They legally have to tell you the pros and cons, and they're legally going to tell you the best way to use it. So Ruthie, that was an excellent example. And also Jordan, NerdWallet is one of my favorite websites for anything financial. So excellent, excellent points. Does that help? Okay.
Hey, Kim.
Borrowing resources. So if you have a credit card, this is a great way to figure out how long it will take to pay that credit card off. There's a lot of credit card fraud. Here's a resource that I will give you to what to do if you have fraud. Paying down debt, there's lots of techniques. If you have a credit card, as I said, what to do to pay it down. You can negotiate the interest on your credit card. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's ways to negotiate. Oftentimes it'll say the interest rate's 21%. And if you call the credit card company, there are ways to negotiate. And back to the question about working on your credit card score or your credit score, excuse me, I would recommend going to this website to learn the specifics on how to improve your credit score. It's really important to start now. There's lots of techniques. It's a great habit to get into right now. So why Kelly's credit card payment sucks. This is just the math on it. She has $8,000 on her credit card. She just decorated her apartment with new furniture and vacationing in Hawaii. Her interest rate is 21.49%. Kelly's paying $250 to pay off the debt. It will take her 48 months to pay off the loan if she starts at that $250 and doesn't add anything else to it. So the original charge was $8,000. The total she'll pay is $11,397. She will pay almost $4,000 of interest because she didn't pay off the credit card at every statement. This is an example of why you don't want to have credit card balances. Any thoughts or questions? Good. Here's some saving on student loan tips. I don't think, I'm not going to go over these, but I am going to give you a resource. Obviously, get organized. There's something called income-driven replacement plans. That means you pay your loan based on what your income is. So it's not the same amount for the next 30 years. It starts smaller when your income's smaller and it gets larger as your income gets bigger. If you don't pay your student loan and you wait, it'll cost you similar to a credit card. And if you've got numerous student loans, you want to refinance and consolidate. As I said, there's a great link to paying off your student loans. The winner of the challenge is, of course, Jim. He understands his paycheck and he knows what his net income is. He knows what he earns. He's saving, he's paying himself first. He calculates the specific goals, the cost and the time he has, and he automatically takes all those savings out of his paycheck. He's planned for the unexpected with insurance and an emergency plan. His spending is all automated and he uses YNAB, that website or the app I was telling you about, and he borrows and he pays his credit card on time. Talk fast. Questions, anything. Sally, if you can.
We're okay. The call will not cut off at 1. It's okay.
Some people had to go, I'm sorry. Was that helpful? Questions? Too much information? I talk fast. If you need more information, you can certainly call me. Most of you have ways to get a hold of me. I'd like to hear from all of you 2 things that you think are the most important things you want to take home with you, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to start with, is it Ellie or Margot? Sorry.
Emmy.
Margot, that's okay.
Emmy,
so definitely like the credit card thing, super helpful. Thank you for providing another answer to that question. And I had no idea that you could co-sign. So that's like nice. And then I think just looking forward down the road, paying off student loans and having it reflect like my income great.
Thank you. Jordan.
I took a lot of notes, so I'm trying to read all of them. Definitely the fact that companies match with their money what you're putting aside for your own retirement. I didn't know that, so I think that's huge, especially going forward in looking for new jobs. Having that in mind so that I know to use that as a resource. And what was the other thing? Oh, really breaking down my pay stubs, because I've seen a billion of those with every job that I've had, but I've never like fully broken it down. So I think that's super helpful.
Good. Noah, what about you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was learning about like credit card debt, and that's just like a really slippery slope, especially with compound interest. And then also just, having more defined goals, short term and long term, I think will give you a lot more discipline and something to sort of work towards when you're trying to save.
Thank you. How about you, Dave? Either chat it or say it. Deductions, money in pocket versus money returns, and also the minimum matching that companies will do. Awesome, thank you. Gina.
I have a question.
Gina, go.
So when I or any of us get things like our tax return or like any kind of large amount of money coming in, what is the best place? Like, where should we put that? There's so many different kind of like funds and things that, I could pay off. Like, how should I prioritize kind of placing that money?
Emergency fund first, debt second, fun thing third.
Perfect.
Great question.
That is under the assumption that you're saving for your retirement at work, though. Okay. Okay, speaking of Gina and Eli, do you have two things you want to take with you?
My big two things were, one, just budgeting and having an emergency fund and having stuff like that. I definitely have like a bank account where I just like don't really like budget it specifically. So having those separate little funds is really helpful. And then just paying off your bills on time and not getting behind, I think is really important, and that's huge. So.
Excellent. iPhone, I don't know who iPhone is, but do you have any thoughts or chaps? Hello. Sally, do you know who iPhone is?
I don't.
Well, welcome iPhone if you do. Just text it in the chat. How about Pippin? What did you learn? Two things. You probably left. Did Pippin leave?
No, Pippin is still here. I'm trying to unmute. I'm old.
What did you learn? What do you want to take with you?
Well, I have more of a question.
Okay.
If you have a credit card and you're paying it off every month, are you actually earning credit towards your credit score?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good question.
So what you want to do, I asked my favorite banker, Sam Rosenberg, because he's very good with credit questions in terms of raising your credit score. He's excellent. He knows how to do it. So if you want a personal person, he's excellent. So you want to pay the full balance every month, but don't pay what it says on your statement. So there's two different items. There's one that says, here's what you owe, but your statement may be more than that. Does that make sense? Because you may have bought something after the statement's due. You just want to pay what's due, because the credit card says, oh, she's paying her balance on time. So it's okay, you have a little bit of money in there that hasn't been paid yet. And that's what the credit companies are going, she knows how to pay on time, she's still using her credit card, we have confidence she's going to pay that off also, and that raises your credit score. Other things, the longer you have the credit score, the longer you have credit, the better. Don't do a lot of inquiries. Don't do a lot of you can check your credit once a year for free. I'll have a resource for that. You want to do that once a year because you want to make sure no one's stolen your credit also. So you want to check that. That's on my resources. Does that answer your question, Jan?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
If you have a lot of credit cards, just psychologically, because all of this is very emotional. It's not rational. This is a very emotional thing, money. Psychologically, if you have many credit cards, Pay the one that's smallest first if you can, if it's a little one, and then pay the one that has the largest interest second. So you pay the one that has the smallest first because you want to feel good about yourself, but then you go to the big guy and try to get that paid, get that off. And there's some zero interest credit cards that are a way to pay off big credit cards, but that you want to make sure you talk to somebody about as a strategy to pay off the credit card. But there's ways to pay off credit cards that are very strategic. How about you, Ruthie? The 2 things you learned.
That I wish I would have known this stuff when I was in my 20s is the big one for me. Sorry. Especially about the compounding interest and, so.
Me too. Sally, do you have any questions, thoughts, or takeaways?
Exactly what Ruthie said. All of this is such great information. I wish I would have known then. Automation, big. Just anything that you can automate so that you don't have to try to remember things, waste energy on trying to remember things is such good advice. Yeah, really good.
Esty, do you have any two to take homes?
I think I got a greater understanding of what my 401k is and does, and I am gonna try budgeting, like trying to use tools to make my budget, because I've done that with tools, but try new tools if one tool didn't work before.
Kim, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
About checking your credit score or your credit ratings. For on one of the credit cards that I use has their own program. I think it's like CreditWise or something, saying you can check it at any time. Does that affect my credit if I use that more than once a year? Like, is that bad if I check it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I imagine not, but I don't want to answer definitively. I don't know if anybody else knows. I use a website called Credit Karma, and that checks also. I really like that website. I think it's a really nice, safe website if you want to use that one. But sorry, Jordan, I don't know the answer.
It's okay, just because I know that like checking the 3 major credit bureaus is like something I have in my calendar to do once a year, but just the own little program that Capital One uses, I didn't know if I'm checking that when it says you have a credit update, if that's screwing me.
I doubt it. I don't think so. But again, I would double check. And you can call your credit card company and ask that question. They will tell you the answer to that.
Okay.
By the way, since you were on the call, I'm offering an hour of my time to sit down with you and help you budget. Anybody that wants help with that, I'll put Noah. Here is my email address, and you can call me or email me, and I will sit down with you and we will did it go? Did it go? Do you see it? Everyone, did that go? There. So you can email me and I will help you this is old school budgeting, but the numbers you can do, you can use in your YNAB account. You need a budget account. So you can actually use those specific numbers, because the first thing to do is figure out what those budget numbers are before you actually put it in an app. So please be sure to call me. And if you have friends, this is something I do for every young person that is starting their first job. I give free budgeting lessons because I'm so committed to you not being in the debt you don't want to be in. And I just, because when I was in college and Ruthie and Sally, they used to give out credit cards with candy and free money, and they wanted us to use them. And a lot of people our age got in really bad trouble, and a lot of people ended up owing a lot on their credit cards. And I just never want that happening to you again. And it doesn't have to happen. You can start with a clean, fresh slate. And so please take me up on that. And if you have other questions too that we didn't answer, please, as I said, email me with any specific questions. And then look at my resource guide. There's lots of different resources on there that I search for you that will give you tips on any specific issue that you might want to have a burning desire to know on right after we talk on the Zoom. And I thank you very, very much. Sally's going to end this with our next next positive charge discussion. And I'm so honored to have had you on the call. And I'm just love meeting all of you, and I loved your questions. And I'm just so excited that you guys care about this and you're going to work on it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. Thank you. It was great. Thank you so much for all of that information. I put the resource guide, I hope everyone can see it. It's in the chat. Can everyone see that? The resource guide that Kim was talking about? You can see it? Okay, good. Excellent. Just thank you so much. Such a good presentation. And thank you everybody for participating and asking your great questions. I wanted to let you know the next few that we have lined up, the next one for next week, the best way that I can put this is when you apply for a job or you're applying for school, sometimes there's a question that is, well, not even sometimes, a lot of times there's a question that is asked that says, we know what your job history is. We know what your school history is, your educational history. Tell us about you. What makes you stand out? And this talk that we're doing next week is about, does it pay not to be paid, in terms of what is the value of volunteering and philanthropy. And we have a really great speaker who is going to be talking about just that. What is it that, what benefit do you, is there to you and to others? And what help does it give you to answer that specific question? How do you stand out by giving your time? And especially now, sometimes, or for a lot of people right now, because of the pandemic, maybe your jobs have vaporized, right? Or, and you can't work and be paid, but there's a lot of time on your hands where you can give of your time and not be paid. And that is still very valuable to you. So the next topic that we're doing next week is about volunteering and philanthropy. The next one after that is about your brain on anxiety. A lot of people are experiencing anxiety, not just because of the pandemic, but in general. And it's dealing with that, which is a very common topic. And the profile of a great employee is coming up. How do you stand out? So many great topics. What I'm doing right now is I'm putting in the chat the link to not only the lineup of speakers and topics and the dates, but also there's a link to the last two that were recorded from Becky Saltzman and Stephen Kaufman for the first two sessions. And this one is recorded too, and I forgot to tell you that, hoping that everyone is okay with being recorded. If you're not, please let us know. And we're doing this so that we can let everyone know who is not available now. So that's it. All right, thanks you guys.
And please tell your friends about this. If you know, just share the good experience.
Absolutely. Yep. Share it for next time. Okay, you guys have a really nice Sunday afternoon.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Kim.